Welcome to Raising Kingdom Warriors. I'm glad to have you here. Whether you are new to the faith or just exploring homeschooling or looking for a way to add your faith into your homeschooling, you're in the right place. Today we're going to be going over our 2025 to 2026 curriculum picks. Our big curriculum pick for our second and fourth graders is My Father's World: Exploring Countries and Cultures. In addition to My Father's World in previous years, I have always used a combination of curriculum. I write a Montessori-inspired Christian homeschool curriculum. I have used a variety of other curriculums from other publishers, but I really love My Father's World. Last year we did World Changers, which is their third grade curriculum, and it went really well. This year will be the first year that we do the family cycle. So the blue books are the Investigate God's Heart, so investigate cycle. And this is a unit study, but it's also Charlotte Mason inspired. It's Hebraic classical. It is family style learning. So this one curriculum can be used for all children in your home for ages 2nd to 8th grade. So anytime that they finish basically their phonics, they can jump in and join you in the family cycle. So today we're going to be going over what is in the package. Exploring Countries and Cultures covers Bible, geography, science, art, music, math facts, read alouds, and then there are also some supplements if you're teaching a 2nd or 3rd grader or a 7th and 8th grader. So right now, I'm just gonna go down the list of what was included, and we're gonna start off with just this teacher's manual. So this teacher's manual, there are many flip-throughs on YouTube, but basically there is a grid for every week, and there are details following the grid for how to implement the lessons in the grid and which books to use and what pages to use and all of that. There are also, there's a parent-teacher supplement, and this is just some blank maps, some games. These are for the geography games that you'll be playing with your children. And then every student that's doing the curriculum needs a set of student sheets. Bible. So the Bible for Exploring Countries and Cultures. So I told you guys, this is a unit study curriculum, and the way that they have Bible this year, so they have a family cycle that lasts 5 years. And the first year, no matter if you're starting late in the cycle or you're just coming new to My Father's World, they suggest you start with Exploring Countries and Cultures before you jump into the history cycle. They have a 4-year history cycle, but they want, their heart behind My Father's World curriculum is missions, is the Great Commission. So to go and make disciples of all nations. So they believe that in order to care about the history and the content of the history, if you know the location or your children know the locations and a little bit about the countries and cultures of where all of these historical events took place, that you'll have more compassion on the people there, and you also will have kind of more of a draw to learn about the history of all of God's world. So this is just learning God's heart for the world. And once you have the places memorized, when you encounter those places in your history and geography studies later on, it will just make more sense. So we'll be reading through the book of Matthew, so you'll need your Bible to do so, and we'll be memorizing passages from Matthew. And then we'll also be going through Hero Tales, a family treasury of true stories from the lives of Christian heroes by Dave and Nita Jackson. So this very kind of larger text, easy to read. These are people of the faith throughout history. And then each one has a little piece of a story that you read that's broken up into really small chunks, and then character traits associated with each of the people. And part of the curriculum is copying down the character traits in neat handwriting and keeping a record of those in your child's notebook. So I'm really looking forward to this. Last year when we did World Changers and we learned about missionaries and just people throughout history who changed the world for Christ, it was just so inspiring. Like, no matter where you come from or what your past is, or kind of what lot in life you've been given, you can change the world for Jesus. And that was just a big takeaway for us from last year, and a big takeaway for me as the mama. The second book we have for Bible, well, I guess third, because we have our own Bible, and then we have Hero Tales, and now we have Window on the World and an Operation World Prayer resource. So this is a book with beautiful pictures. It's kind of like a magazine style book. And it takes you around the world, showing just a few pictures, but just different ways that you can pray for people in the countries of the world and how Christians live in those countries. So to help you pray, how people live, it gives kind of some basic facts, the flag. Sometimes it'll teach you about the different religions that are practiced there, and there's even a part in the back that teaches children about different religions: animism, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, and just how we can use prayer to reach these people. And then in the teacher's guide, it's recommended that on day 1, I think on Monday, you would read this, and then you would pray for that people group throughout the week. And then the last book that's listed is God Speaks, I'm thinking Newman Gong, I'm not sure how to say it, I haven't read it yet, by David Hazel. And he is one of the founders of My Father's World. And this is written, I believe, about a family a real life missionary family, bringing Bibles to people in places that didn't have them before. So that I'm excited to read. I think that you read that right in the beginning of the year. We're going to move on to geography with exploring countries and cultures. Now remember, this curriculum can be used for children in 2nd through 8th grade. So there are going to be some resources that aren't going to be used to the extent that they would be for the middle child. So let's just go over what is on the list here. So we're going to start with Children's Atlas of God's World. There are different pages that are scheduled when you're visiting each country. And this is a huge book. Not a ton of text, but definitely some good pictures to let you know about the culture and the landscape. A little bit about a biome information. There are some pretty good maps. Some facts, flag, some historical facts. So these pages are fully scheduled within your teacher's guide when you visit a country. Okay, so before we continue with geography, I do want to tell you that they do make it really fun. So in order to do geography with exploring countries and cultures, you start off by using a passport and you pretend to get on an airplane and take a trip to a new country. So you literally set up chairs in your living room. You can watch flight videos from the countries that you're going to visit. You get off the plane, you have, you get a stamp in your passport when you get to somewhere. You learn some of the language of the country that you're visiting, and you also cook meals, and you can eat snacks from that country. You can decorate your house for that country if you want to. So you could really get into the whole theme of geography if you wanted to. And that is, some people kind of go crazy with it. Other people just do the bare minimum. But it does say in the teacher guide to pretend you're getting on an airplane and go and have your child get their passport stamped and everything. So knowing where you're going, this is just an atlas of where you're going. We have another atlas the Classroom Atlas 13th edition by Rand McNally, and anything your child wants to know about maps, different types of maps, is in here, and these pages are scheduled out in your teacher's guide as well when you go to visit a different country. And you will use this more extensively in the first couple of weeks to learn how to read different types of maps. They give you a world map to hang on the wall. You learn different geography terms this year. So just picture books, so your children can make little flashcards. Cave, cliff, continent, continental divide. So illustrated and written flashcards for different geography terms are scheduled each week. This book is scheduled, it's called Come to the Table, and it is a recipe book for different meals that you can make when you're visiting at the end of visiting a country. So for North America, like for Canada, you can make wild rice, and there's a recipe, maple chicken, maple syrup food profile, some blueberry crisp, and then I love how there's a little section to add your notes from your recipes, or add other recipes or favorite memories from making these recipes. So if you're gonna repeat this in the family cycle another year, you could maybe even add some pictures, like a little scrapbook of when you ate this meal, and some notes for when you're gonna possibly make it again. So that really helps you make it a really fun unit study. And when you're exploring different countries, you learn about the animals of the different countries, and this is a really fun book that's scheduled in the geography section. So under the sea, the North Pacific Ocean, you would find in the picture, can you find a sponge? And the child would have to search for the different pictures of the sponge. Or in the rainforest in South America, where is this emerald tree boa hiding? Where can you find it? Can you find it? So just like helps the child look closely for all of those different animals and spend time really looking at the pictures and thinking about what the animals are like in that area of the world. This came with the package to use when we're in Asia, Fun with Easy Origami. And then I did talk about how you can use your passport when you get off the plane, when you're visiting a new country. And there is a currency kit that comes with the curriculum that you only need one of. You don't need multiple of these, because the idea is to give your children 10 American dollars and have your child exchange that money for the currency of the country that you're visiting, and then purchase snacks that week using their currency. And a lot of families will try to find snacks from the country that you're visiting and keep that theme of the country that you're visiting going. And then lastly, we have this Exploring World Geography workbook that My Father's World publishes, but it was originally created by the Teacher Created Resources. And so it's a lot of worksheets in here, some information, not a living book per se, but a lot of research. So this would be a really good way to teach your child how to do research, because the answers aren't just in here for all of them. You would have to send your child to an encyclopedia or external resources to find the answers to some of these questions. But it's all different types of facts and cool information about each continent that you visit. And My Father's World provides you, I believe it's with the 7th and 8th grade supplement, the World Book Student Online. But that would be one place if you have a child that you want to start doing research with, even if the child is not in 7th or 8th grade, you could get that World Book Student Online access and help your child do the research to find the answers to some of these worksheets. And I think you are, of course you are, as the the teacher of your children, you can choose to use this at all, use this just a couple pages, wait until your child's older to use this, or just keep it for those 6th, 7th, 8th grade students. Of course, that's totally up to you. So that finishes geography, but you can make it like as exciting as you want to. I think the all of those books and finding all of that information paired with the passport and the flying on the plane, and there are like YouTube video playlists that you could play while you're traveling or once you get to the country, having the currency with the different snacks, making a meal at the end of your visit. All of those things will help your child remember that time of connection together with their family and with you as their homeschool teacher forever. And then as well as, I did not even mention, but the biggest way that your child will memorize different locations of countries is by using the game that's provided and scheduled in the curriculum. So there is a game, like a geography game for each continent that you can play with your child. For science, going along the theme of the geography unit study, we are learning about the properties of ecosystems. This is by Answers in Genesis, so you can trust that it's from a biblical young earth worldview. And even in the first lesson, what is an ecosystem? There's a special feature about the first ecosystem right after that first lesson about the Garden of Eden and how that perfect ecosystem was the first one God ever created. Now there are plenty of suggested books in the book basket resource list in the back that you can supplement with for each week. For example, Rainforest, you could read Row, Row, Row Your Boat. You could read In the Jungle, Patterns in the Jungle, Macaw. You could read Nature's Green Umbrella. So there are picture books and informational books and chapter books and all sorts of books that you can add to your book basket. After you've given the information, you can solidify it with some more living books if you want to. The other component of science for this year is animals of each ecosystem and of each different location. So what kinds of animals, and we already did, the Great Animal Search was listed in the geography resources, and the Usborne Living World Encyclopedia is listed in the science resources because it has just more information, and you can have your children choose some of these facts and do some notebooking pages. And I think that that is what the teacher's guide recommends, is to do some notebooking pages after reading the selected text, the country that you're studying. This is science. Next we have art. A World of Art is published by My Father's World, and these are art projects that are scheduled for each country visit that you do. And there are drawing projects and more hands-on projects, but nothing that's too involved. Next, we have A World of Music for music, and this is beautiful. There are songs for each country that we visit, and there are tracks that you can listen to online to learn how to sing those different songs. And then we have some math fast facts. These are scheduled in the teacher guide, so you will see on the grid whether math drill has its own section on the teacher grid, so you should be doing them. And every day is addition, so Monday or the first day of the week is addition and then subtraction, then multiplication and division, just showing you how important it is that your child be practicing and memorizing the different facts. So you would put this over a piece of notebook paper, or your child would, and then after writing in all the answers, he or she can flip it over and quickly check their answers, because the answers are on the back side and they're not in order, so it doesn't seem like your child would memorize exactly the order of these, especially if they do a different one each day of the week. And if you have multiple children and it says doing addition on Monday, you could give one subtraction, one addition. So anyway, you could use them out of order. Up to 4 children could use these at a time. So that's a nice addition. We'll see how that goes in our family. For For read alouds, we have Kingdom Tales. So these are allegorical stories, Christian stories, and at the end of each story, there are 3 discussion questions to help with narration. So I love that, and I'm really looking forward to those. We loved Pilgrim's Progress, loved it in World Changers. So I'm thinking this is gonna be a big hit with my kids. Then we have some Christian heroes books of missionaries from different continents. So as we study a continent, we will be studying a missionary that has gone and spread God's word in that area. So Gladys Aylward, Amy Carmichael, Nate Saint, George Mueller, and then we also have this published by My Father's World. We have a shorter book on Samuel Morris, and we are really looking forward to those. Those are fully scheduled in the teacher's guide. Before we move on to the 2nd and 7th and 8th grade supplements, I want to point you guys to the back of the teacher's guide. In the appendix, there are recommended resources for book basket. So My Father's World has trademarked this term book basket, and every day that there is geography, so 4 days a week, there is a checkbox for book basket, and you as the parent can curate a book basket for your family or for each individual child. And there are hundreds of books listed in the appendix of each teacher guide that have all been vetted. And if there's any questionable content or age-specific content, it's all marked in here for you. You can use this by putting books on hold at your library about 2 weeks before you teach a unit, and they're separated by picture books, nonfiction books, chapter books. There will be in there. So if you can, like I said, do some of these as for book basket. You can curate selections for each of your children. You can do a big family like library basket for each week. But there are different books recommended for science, geography, picture books, nonfiction, fiction, all of the topics that you'll be covering in Exploring Countries and Cultures. There are so many good picture books. For example, we are starting the year with an introduction to geography, and the very first book recommended is How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World. So to start off the school year with How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World, picture book, and I can bring in my younger children and bake apple pie with my older children, and we've done this before, so I think they could probably bake apple pie on their own. Even my 7-year-old is really good at that, and she'll be excited to know that we're starting the school year with that. So it just really brings in the culture and the place so much better. And we have the facts in all of our spine books that we've gone over. We have the missionary studies in the scheduled read alouds. You bring in the fun with the passports and the food, and you really bring in the experience, I believe, of the different places when you go through those picture books. And our Bible, Window on the World, we're literally looking through a window at different cultures and looking at what that actually looks like, and all of the Bible resources and geography resources. And then through story, we can really connect with people all over the world. And then we play that geography game and learn the locations and the flags and where everything is located. And so we're bringing in like all the senses and doing it as a family, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So now we have, there are supplements. So this again can be used 2nd to 8th grade. So the science sheets, the science questions are a little advanced for 2nd and 3rd graders. So they recommend this book for 2nd and 3rd grade. And it's called The Complete Book of Animals. And here it's actually listed for grades 1 through 3. So if you have an advanced 1st grader, or if you have a 1st grader tagging along, you may find that the 1st grader can do some of this work or read some of these stories. So what this is it is an animal book that is separated by continent. So we have Australian animals, African animals, insects, reptiles, animals that live in the water, farm animals, pets, and then science and animals, like classifying animals, mammals, adaptations, life cycles. So there are these kind of pages where it's some informational text and then some questions that your second grader or third grader or even first grader could answer. But there are also some pull-out readers that are like a little book that you could pull. It's called a pull-out storybook. And here's one on penguins. And you could pull this out, staple the spine, and put it into the book basket for your second or third grader. Look, there's even a coloring page at the end of the book. So I would say use this as much as you can. The pages are suggested and scheduled in the teacher's guide for second and third grade. So I also happened to get the 7th and 8th grade supplement because some of the books were recommended as read alouds in the back of the teacher's guide for kids of all ages. And I don't think I'll be repeating this with my oldest child because since she is in 4th grade, wait, would we be repeating it 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th? No. So she won't be reporting it she won't be repeating it because when she gets to 9th grade, she'll be doing the high school curriculum. So, or whatever we choose to do for high school. Hopefully it's My Father's World. I just don't know yet. So I did get the 7th and 8th grade supplement. And another reason why I got it was because we learned about some of these people when we did World Changers. So here we have Kisses from Katie, and my daughter and I, this was one of our favorite stories. It was the last story in World Changers. And this is a book by Katie Davis Majors and it's called A Story of Relentless Love and Redemption. And so she will probably do this as a family read aloud. And then here we have God's Smuggler by Brother Andrew, and then also Stories of Those Who Walk This Road Together. So there's God's Smuggler in here, The Narrow Road. I think it's a compilation of different stories plus God's Smuggler. So that was so good. And I've read God's Smuggler, but I wanted my husband to read it. And there are extra stories in here. So I don't know if we'll do this kind of as like a mom and dad read or if we're going to have the other kids listen in. And then this, I don't really know anything about it, but it's called Bruco, and it's the astonishing true story of a 19-year-old's capture by the Stone Age Motilone Indians and the impact he had living out the gospel among them. Okay, and then I dared to call him Father. I'm really, really excited to read this. I've actually wanted to read this for a while. And it's the miraculous story of a Muslim woman's encounter with God. So those are all from the 7th and 8th grade supplement. And then the World Book Encyclopedia 1-year access. You get a little paper with the code. That's with the 7th and 8th grade supplement. And then also writing a country report. So my oldest child is pretty advanced for a 4th grader. So I may have her favorite country, or when we do finish a country, like we may try one of these reports, but it'd be really fun for her. Like it's like employment, the arts, education, population, government, economy, resources, money, the flag, the coat of arms, physical features. So I may maybe as like her favorite country, kind of like a capstone project for the end of the year. I say that now, and who knows, I'm not sure. So, but we have it as an option, and I'm just really looking forward to this year. We are planning on doing a synergy group with some of our friends, and we were able to do World Adventures curriculum with this group, and we were able to do World Changers. And the only regret that I have is that like we would get off track and we didn't get as much done as we wanted to. So like we didn't finish out the year doing every single week. So my advice, if you are doing a synergy group and you miss a week, just skip that week, do it at home, and stay on track so that your end date is really your end date, because I kept pushing ourselves back and we had to kind of like speed through and wrap up World Changers at the end. And I really wish like I would have just stayed on track even when other people were sick and couldn't meet, or we were sick. We could have just done it in our pajamas and done less work that week, but still like done the read alouds and continued on. So there are some really great advice on doing a synergy group in the synergy group guide. And one of the biggest things is they say like keep it small. Like if you have more than 5 families, like maybe mentor that next family and teach them how to create a synergy group of their own. And I think that's really great advice. We did have 5 families when we did Adventures in US History, and it was a lot of, I mean, it's just everybody, it's a lot of kids. So it was awesome. And the house we meet at is bigger than my house, and so with a big yard. And so it's been like just such a blessing and so much fun. And those friendships are, I like could not do life without those friendships. And my kids too. So we're just really, really grateful that we have people who are willing to do this curriculum with us, because it is just so much fun. So if you do decide to do World Changers in your synergy group, the really fun stuff like going on the airplane, exchanging your currency, doing an art project, practicing memory work, your kids have an opportunity to do like a speech, you know, whether it's just telling about a vacation or telling about a science experiment they did. So that public speaking aspect is really great. But yeah, so those fun things, like the most fun things of your week, you can do with another group of kids, especially if you only have maybe one child doing this curriculum and you don't have a group of kids in your own home. Maybe just reach out in your local like homeschool Facebook group, or ask some homeschool friends if they know anybody starting, or as suggested in the Synergy Guide, if like someone is starting out homeschooling, you may invite them to do My Father's World with you and kind of come alongside them and shepherd them through their first year of homeschool, because maybe you've been homeschooling longer, or you want somebody to do it with, or maybe you're just getting started too, and just having that support and encouragement and accountability would be great. Like we all use different curriculum for language arts and math, but just having that than each other. Some of us use some suggestions from My Father's World, others do not. But that part just doesn't matter, because when you come together, you're doing art and geography and music and science and memory work with scripture and doing a speech, learning some vocabulary in another language, doing, like I said, an art project or something. So that has been, I don't know, like made it exponentially better for our family, and we've really loved that. So enjoy if you do end up using Exploring Countries and Cultures. Please follow along. I will try to share updates as we go throughout the year, so you guys can see kind of how we tackle the curriculum. And then once I get everything organized for the year, I'll make another video too.